Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing something a bit different. We are breaking down everyday scientific mysteries, cosmic paradoxes, and ultimately, we're decoding the ancient unfading value of gold. I am super excited to share this with you all, because we're about to take a journey that spans literally from the vast, empty vacuum of space all the way down to the intricate chemistry that drives our entire global economy. Let's get into it.
But real quick, before we dive into the physics of space or, our own biology, let's plant the seed for our big ultimate question. Why exactly is a simple yellow metal so universally expensive? I mean, what is it about this specific element that has just completely captivated human civilization for millennia? Seriously, keep that question in the back of your mind because everything we talk about today is going to build up to a pretty fascinating answer.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We've got 5 sections to cover: space curiosities, everyday physics, the cycle of matter, the internet phenomenon, and finally, the true value of gold. Starting off with Section 1, Space Curiosities, where we'll look at cosmic physics and space travel.
So imagine firing a water gun, or really any projectile, in space. Now, we all know Newton's law of action and reaction, right? You'd probably think firing a weapon in zero gravity would just send you flying backward at some terrifying speed. But, well, look at the math here between an astronaut and a projectile. Because your human mass is roughly 100,000 times greater than that tiny little 10-gram bullet, the recoil force gets distributed across a way larger object. So the bullet speeds away at 1,000 kilometers per hour, absolutely, but that same force, it only pushes you backward at an incredibly sluggish 1 kilometer per hour. You'd barely even be drifting.
Okay, here's another mind-bending concept: light delay. Imagine we actually placed a giant, planet-sized mirror 50,000 light-years away from Earth. If we looked into it through a super powerful telescope, we wouldn't see ourselves as we are today. Light takes 50,000 years just to reach that mirror, and then another 50,000 years to bounce all the way back to our eyes. So placing a mirror that far away literally means the reflection we'd see would be an Earth from 100,000 years in the past. It is, quite literally, a time machine built out of basic optical physics. Crazy, right?
Bringing things a little bit closer to home, if you've ever wondered why humans haven't returned to the moon recently, I can tell you the answer is definitely not a lack of technology. I mean, we have vastly superior tech today compared to the 1960s. The real barrier? It's this staggering $130 million price tag. Space travel is just prohibitively expensive, which is exactly why we rely on sending highly advanced, but much cheaper, robots to do all our lunar exploring today instead.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, Everyday Physics. Let's look at some household science.
For example, we've all probably been tempted to leave the fridge open on a sweltering hot day to cool down the kitchen. Totally common misconception. We feel that blast of cold air and immediately think, oh, this is basically an AC unit. But a refrigerator is actually a heat pump. Because the motor isn't perfectly efficient, the back of the fridge pumps out way more heat into the room than the open front could ever possibly cool. If you leave the door open, the motor just works harder and harder, and you actually just end up heating the room up.
And it's that exact same everyday physics that dries our laundry. You might be wondering, if water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, how on earth do wet clothes dry on a 25-degree day? Well, water doesn't actually need to boil to evaporate. It just needs 3 things: ambient heat to give the molecules energy, a little bit of wind to carry those escaped molecules away, and a large irregular contact surface area, like the woven fibers of a t-shirt, to give those water molecules plenty of room to just escape into the air.
Let's jump right into Section 3, the cycle of matter, covering biology and the conservation of mass.
Have you ever wondered if the Earth is getting heavier as the human population explodes? Following this cycle here, you can see how growing populations actually don't add a single ounce of new weight to the Earth. It's wild, but we basically borrow molecules from our mother's nutrition when we're developing. We live our lives consuming plants and animals that grew from the Earth, and eventually, well, we decompose. The carbon in our bodies turns into carbon dioxide that feeds the trees and plants around us, starting the whole shebang over again. We are literally just borrowing the Earth's atoms for a little while.
Okay, Section 4, the internet phenomenon. We are taking a quick detour into human psychology and digital culture.
But first, a really quick brain teaser to get our gears turning. What happens if Pinocchio says, "I am lying"? Think about it for a second. If he's telling the truth, then his statement, "I am lying," is false, which means his nose should grow. But wait, if his nose grows, that means he was lying, making his statement true. This paradox would theoretically cause his nose to just shoot back and forth like a piston in a car engine. It's just a fun little logic loop.
Now, look closely at this quote here. We so often think of internet culture as being completely obsessed with views, clicks, and the algorithm. But for educational creators out there in the modern digital landscape, beyond all those metrics, the ultimate motivation is deeply human. It's the profound joy of inspiring millions of people to choose technical and scientific careers. Having that kind of real-world impact, that is the true power of digital media.
And tracking this evolution on the timeline reveals a really massive shift. Back in 2009, when user-generated video platforms first exploded, honestly, a lot of people were certain it would crash. It was a fad. But what felt like a temporary video bubble just continuously grew, year after year. By 2016 and 2017, the paradigm had completely shifted. It became undeniably clear that this freedom for anyone to choose what to watch and to create their own content wasn't a bubble at all. It was a permanent revolution in how humanity shares information.
Finally, we arrive at Section 5, the true value of gold, diving into the chemistry and economy of the ultimate precious metal.
So let's answer that very first question we asked. The secret lies in the fact that gold isn't just shiny and pretty to look at, it is chemically unique. I mean, most metals react with their environment, right? But gold does not. It literally does not oxidize or rust. Furthermore, it is incredibly malleable. You can flatten it into sheets so incredibly thin that they're nearly weightless. And on top of all that, it flawlessly conducts electricity, making it absolutely indispensable inside our modern computer chips and smartphones. It's an absolute functional powerhouse.
To put that remarkable chemical stability into perspective, consider a really beautiful metal like copper. Copper will react with the oxygen and moisture in the elements and eventually turn green. I mean, just look at the Statue of Liberty. It was originally a brilliant, shiny copper color. But gold? Gold retains its exact original brilliance forever. A piece of gold buried in the dirt for 1,000 years will come out looking exactly as shiny as the day it was buried. No joke.
And because of that immortal chemistry, its economic dominance literally stretches across all of human history. Because it lasts forever and looks beautiful, pretty much every civilization fell in love with it independently. From the spectacular burial mask of Tutankhamun 3,300 years ago, to the vast treasures of the Incas during the Age of Discovery, all the way to modern global crises like the recent pandemic, gold has consistently served as the ultimate unshakable global currency. When paper money falters, humanity's trust in gold remains totally intact.
But there's one more crucial piece to this puzzle: extreme scarcity. Think about water for a second. It has amazing properties, it keeps us alive, but it literally falls from the sky. Gold, on the other hand, is incredibly hard to find. This extreme scarcity ensures that no massive market-flooding discovery has ever occurred to just wipe out its worth. Its supply grows at this incredibly slow, predictable crawl, locking in its high value.
So, we finally arrive at our closing thought. Knowing its immortal chemistry, its functional use in modern technology, and its millennia of unshakable economic dominance, if you had the wealth, would you negotiate $15 million for a perfect sphere of this remarkable metal? Or, when you strip away the chemistry, do you think its true astronomical value is simply humanity's oldest, most successful shared illusion? It is definitely a fascinating question to ponder. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope this sparked your curiosity, and I will catch you on the next one.